transitioning here to Atlanta and bowl prep and how it's going so far.
Well, we had a really good practice, a week in Athens. I thought our guys worked extremely hard and came back yesterday, had another good practice. We're excited to get started again today. Appreciate the Peach Bowl and obviously the college football playoff and what they do for college football. We're excited to be here.
All right, for the players, starting with you, Chris, just talk about your transition, how the bowl week experience has been so far. I know it's only been one day, but how are you guys settling in?
Well, it's been a great transition so far. I'm from Atlanta, so it's great to be able to get back home. We had a good event last night with the team, a lot of great camaraderie, a good competition, and we'll have many more with the week coming.
All right, Smile?
Yeah, like Chris said, it was a smooth transition. I'm not necessarily from Atlanta, but I'm from a little bit down the road, Paulding County. So it's good to be back home or close to home.
All right, Chaz?
Same as other guys. It was a smooth transition. Everything was great coming in. And same with Smile. I'm around the same age as him.
All right, very good. All right, we'll go right into questions. We'll start right here. All right, Chip, I hope you're bringing your A game, buddy.
Yeah, questions for Will. How you doing, Will? Just wondering about the dynamic between you and Glenn. Can you give us a picture when you're conducting meetings? Or you both up there? Do you trade back and forth? Obviously, you've run your own show for a long time. So how does that dynamic work?
Well, it's been outstanding. Glenn's done a phenomenal job this year. Does a great job relating with our players, sending the message through our head football coach to our players. The expectation doesn't change, and I'm really proud of these guys sitting with me today and how they've approached this season of what we, perceivably lost last year. The guys that we lost on our defense and how these guys have handled this year. But Glenn's done an outstanding job. He's a really good football coach. We take turns as far as the installation process is concerned. But there's a lot of voices in the defensive room, starting with Coach Smart and myself, and we have an outstanding defensive staff. So it's not anybody running a one-man show. It's a lot of people involved in what we're trying to do, and obviously the expectation we understand on defense at Georgia to be elite. And that's what our goal is at all times, and we all understand that. And you leave your egos on the shelf and understand what you've got to do and what your role is in the organization to be successful.
All right, next question. Raise your hand. We'll get you a microphone, please. Okay, over here, third row on the left.
Yeah, this one's for Coach as well, Jed May with UGA Sports. When you look at guys like Smile and Jamon as well, just how key are the inside linebackers to what y'all do in terms of defensive scheme and what allows y'all to be so good on that side of the ball?
You asking me? Okay, I'm sorry. Well, those guys have had a phenomenal year. Both Smile and Jamon taking the role that they've taken, again, from last year. And in our defense, there's a lot of communication involved. Obviously, Chris can soundboard that as well. But a lot is communicated up front based on formation recognition. A lot of this is happening in a tempo setting where it's very fast. There's a lot of things going on. And these two young men have done a phenomenal job of getting us in the right spots defensively, because we have a lot of things that we check, based on formation and things. And these guys do a great job of communicating those things to our defense, along with Chris and Malachi and some of the other guys.
Okay, we'll go right here on the front row.
Coach, Evan Kroll with Dogs Daily. It's been a crazy last few years, to say the least. When you took the analyst job here, did you envision that you would be standing where you are now 15 to 18 months later as the co-DC?
No, again, I've always, whether you're the head coach or the coordinator or a position coach or an analyst, do the best job in the job that you have and your role in the organization. And Coach Smart does a great job of identifying what your job is, and this is your job description, and do it at a high level, and then let the chips fall where they may. And, for some unfortunate circumstances, I ended up being on the field last year, and do the best job you can with the job you have.
All right, Zach?
Coach, and for the players, Zach Line from Channel 2 here in Atlanta. What's the most impressive part of CJ's game?
Wow, I think that, he's an elite passer. That's the first thing that jumps out. He can make all the throws. He puts the balls in catchable areas where a lot of, just don't have that talent to do that. A lot of people don't have that talent to do that, and he certainly can. I think it was Michigan State 2 years ago. He takes a zone read 70 yards for a touchdown against Northwestern this past year, 5:30 left to go in the game, designed quarterback run out the backside. So he has legs, athleticism to evade in the rush and create off-rhythm plays, which is obviously very difficult to defend. But the number one thing that jumps off the film is his ability to throw the football.
All right, Chris, thoughts on CJ?
Yeah, I would say, he's an elite passer, very poised with his game, and you could tell they run everything through him. Like I say, like you said, Coach said he got legs. He could pretty much do it all. He was a Heisman finalist, and that just says enough for just the kind of player he is.
All right, Smile.
Pretty much agreeing with what Chris and Coach Muschamp said. Elite passer with really good ball placement. He puts the ball where his receivers can have a chance to make a play. So that's hard to defend.
All right, and Chaz?
Just a great player overall. The offense goes with him. He's a great passer, and he can show his legs when he wants to.
All right, we'll stay in the front row right here.
Yeah, Brooks Austin with Dogs Daily. Kind of a two-parter here. First for Chaz. Kind of being thrust into the lineup with Nolan going down. Do you feel like you're playing more confident as the season progresses? And Chris, you had a very similar situation when Richard went down in 2020. Is there anything you give younger players as in terms of like advice, how to catch up really quickly?
Chaz?
Yes, obviously with more playing, the more confidence you have, the more snaps you have under your belt, the better you feel when you go out on the field. The experience is invaluable when you go out there and just try and take advantage of every snap.
Yeah, it's crazy you ask that because, I have this conversation a lot, just telling players like how you just make sure you need to be ready when your name is called. With the situation, how I was able to get on the field, I just made sure I was ready and prepared, just doing everything I can in practice and building that connection with my teammates and my coaches. It just really paid off when it was time for me to be able to step up. And I just kind of try to preach that to the younger guys, like just make sure you're ready when your time comes.
All right, we're going to go fourth row on the right here.
Coach Muschamp, Anthony Dasher with UGAsports.com. Getting Jalen Carter back healthy obviously was been a huge part of the defensive success. It's kind of just talk about kind of what that has meant and what now his presence has allowed the rest of the defense to do.
Well, he's somebody you got to account for every snap. He can change the game certainly inside. He's a very disruptive guy in the run game and in the pass game. So that's something that's a guy that's very disruptive. And you've got to account for him every snap. And sometimes it's hard to help in protection for an inside player. It's much easier to chip on the edges and be able to have some protection. You can turn the protection. We're very aware of that we've got to create situations where Jalen's in one-on-ones, and that's what we try and do as much as we can.
All right, over here on the left, Cody.
Cody Chaffins from Fox 5 Atlanta. I've heard some guys in interviews this year talk about Bloody Tuesday. Can you tell me what that is? And it sounds like it'd be a culture-building kind of thing.
It's today.
Yeah, it's today. Basically, our hardest day of practice. That's when we get after it the hardest, and we feel like that's what this program is built on Bloody Tuesday.
All right, back over here. Was it Chip or Doug? Go ahead, Doug.
Doug Robertson, the AJC. It's for Chris. Ohio State has the 2,000-yard receivers. Are there any comparables to any other wide receiver tandems in the SEC you faced to those two guys?
I would probably compare them to actually the last game we played. LSU had a lot of great receivers as well as Ohio State, and they all bring different things to the game as wide receivers, but they're all special talents at the end of the day, and something that we have to be able to account for and focus on.
All right, over here, Chip.
For Coach Muschamp and Chris Smith, if you could speak about the guy to your left there in the age of the transfer portal. He's a guy that stuck it out, and now he's an All-American and a NFL draft prospect. And then, Chris, if you can weigh in after him, just kind of on that journey from down the road at Hateville Charter to sitting there where you are today.
Those great practice fields at Hateville Charter you had. I'm a huge Chris Smith fan, and I agree, and I like how you phrased the question of the age of the transfer portal. Here's a guy that doesn't really hit the field to his fourth year.
Yeah,
third year,
yeah.
And then going into his fourth year, and has played in my 2 years at Georgia, has played phenomenal. Just played outstanding football, extremely bright, extremely intelligent, very competitive, great leader, a guy that's really affected people around him in a very positive way, physical player. I mean, all the intangible attributes you can't. I wouldn't stop. We'd be here for a while. And what he has meant for our program and what he's brought to the University of Georgia, and his last 2 years have been pretty amazing how he's played.
Yeah, I would just say it's been a long journey for sure. You know, like you said, in the age of the transfer portal, you know, you got a lot of people in your ear saying, you know, you're second string here, you can go somewhere else and start. But, you know, I just stuck it out and just built that connection with my teammates and my brothers and just continued to work. And all I can say is hard work pays off at the end of the day.
Okay, right here in the front on the right.
Yeah, Coach Brooks Austin, Dogs Daily. Kind of an operationals question. Last year, I think Coach Schumann was in the box. This year, both of you guys are on the field as co-defensive coordinators. What goes into the decision of who's in the box, what's in the box, who's on the field, why we're on the field, all that good stuff?
You know, what's best for our football team? I mean, there's a lot of things that go on from the standpoint of, you know, offensive personnel's on the field, who's identifying those things. You know, being on the field, a luxury we have is Coach Smart, a guy that's been, you know, defensively as good as anyone in the country for a long time. So you've got those eyes on the field, myself, Coach Schumann, Trey Scott, and then Chidera does a great job in the box as far as relaying the information. And that's kind of, you know, Brooks, to be honest with you, going in the first ball game, we didn't know how it was going to go. And it's gone well for us. We've had good information. The bottom line is us making the proper adjustments immediately and being able to get those informations by series so we can make sure our players understand the information and how an offense maybe is attacking us or something they may be doing different that we hadn't prepared for, and making sure that we're getting that information as quickly as possible. And that's the big part of that, and we're able to do a good job, and Chidera's done a nice job in the box of being able to get that information along with, you know, everybody on every play has something they're watching. And it's not just watching the game and watching the ball. You got something you're looking at and making sure that we make the corrections when they occur.
All right, over here on the right to Sarah.
Chris, Sarah Spencer with the AJC. LSU had some success passing the ball in the SEC championship. Just as a secondary, what have y'all kind of been focusing on this month to get ready for this passing attack for Ohio State?
We've just been focusing on our technique and our fundamentals with this about a month that we had been able to practice to get prepared for this game and just locking in on a game plan. You know, that game's in the past. You know, we didn't perform our best and we could perform better, and that's what we want to do for this game on Saturday.
Chris and Smile, you know, part of the week obviously is the extra activities you guys are going to be partaking in. Two parts. Is it a distraction, a welcome distraction, something that needed with the magnitude of the game awaiting you this weekend? And I noticed that one of the events is basketball. Only 5 guys can shoot hoop. Who's the one guy taking the last second shot?
Well, first of all, I would say it's not a distraction. It's kind of the opposite. It kind of brings you more of a connection with your teammates on being able to spend that time and just having fun activities you wouldn't usually be able to do. You know, we played like Family Feud last night, and that was really fun, like a lot more fun than I thought it would be. And we're taking that last shot. I'm going with Malachi Starks. He one of the best basketball players I've seen. So, yeah.
All right, Smile.
Yeah, with like what Chris said, I feel like it could. It's only a distraction if you let it be. You know, if you go about it the right way. You know, it's just gonna be fun. You know, connecting with your teammates. As far as the last shot, though, I'm gonna stay in the linebacker room. I'm gonna go with Tresman. I'm gonna let Tresman or Sori take that last shot.
All right.
Nice.
Sir?
Is he painful for you that he's not going with you in the linebacker room?
What kind of difference linebacker rooms, inside and outside? We're separate rooms, so.
All right, am I to understand that neither one of you guys want to take the last shot?
Nah.
I'll shoot it if I have to. Now, if somebody pick me, I'll take it.
All right, time for a few more. Where are we going next? Oh, okay, over here on the left.
Yeah, Will, I guess last time we talked to you, Malachi Starks hadn't done what he's done this year. Just from a former safety yourself, what has allowed him to come in and be so successful in his first season, you know, playing in y'all's defense?
Well, he's very coachable. Obviously, God's blessed him with a lot of ability. He's a guy that Jefferson High School played both sides of the ball, was an option quarterback. So he only really played defensive back about half the time. And so there was a lot of firsts for him last spring when he came mid-year. Made tremendous strides from day one of spring ball through the summer, going into training camp, but being very coachable, very bright, very humble young man, always eager to get better, to improve, always striving to get better, always understanding he's got room to grow as a player. And Larry and Tisha's parents, great family, great young man. And is had some really bright moments this fall. He really has done a nice job. But I think as much as anything, you go back to being very coachable and understanding the things he's got to improve on every day. And obviously, God's blessed him with some ability.
All right, back to the front row on the right.
Yeah, Coach, how advantageous is it, I guess, for Georgia to be able to stop teams from running the football without dedicating a lot of bodies to the box, kind of allowing them 4 downs and those 2 backers to handle their business and allowing your really good safeties to kind of control the passing lanes?
Well, if you're able to play more split safety and be able to cloud the coverage a little bit for the quarterback, it certainly helps. And if you're able to do that with, Jalen and Nas and Zelo and those guys do a great job of controlling the line of scrimmage, and we're able to do that, that certainly is advantageous for you to be able to rush the passer with 4 guys rushing. Gives you a really good shot defensively, and that's key for that. And that's something that controlling the running game's been good. We got to continue to find ways to affect the quarterback.
All right, next question. All right, over here, midway back on the left.
I'll ask Coach Muschamp. Last game out for Ohio State, their only loss of the year. Is there anything that you see on tape that Michigan did that you guys will try and do? Is there a blueprint there? Is there anything to that?
No, we do what we do. But Ohio State's up and down the field in the first half. Michigan got off the field on 3rd down, and they had a couple turnovers.
All right, next question. All right, while they're thinking about it, I've got one for you guys. So this is your 3rd game in this stadium this season, which is really unusual. Curious if you guys think, is that really an advantage to you? Is there a greater comfort level for that? Do you feel that you have an advantage in any way?
I wouldn't say it's an advantage. I feel like both teams going to be locked into the max, and we're not going to be worried about the outside. We're going to be worried about what we gotta do on the field. So I don't think it's no advantage.
Smile?
Yeah, like Chris said, I don't necessarily think it's an advantage.
I don't think it's an advantage at all. Playing wise, both teams are going to play hard. I mean, it's a 1-game season right now, so it's all or nothing.
Sure.
Coach, any thoughts?
Matters who plays the best in those 60 minutes.
Fair enough. All right. We're going to go back over here to Cody on the left.
I'll ask you one more, Coach Muschamp. Can you take us back to January 1st, 93, and the Citrus Bowl, the only time Georgia's played Ohio State? What do you remember from that game?
It was a good win for the Dogs, so we had a not game, but I guess a luncheon, and Herb Street got up and threw a pass across the room. I knew we had a shot to win. So make sure he knows I said that.
Yeah, I just first want to say that I appreciate the Peach Bowl and the College Football Playoff for the opportunity to be here. Appreciate all you guys in the media for your coverage, and just have been really pleased with our guys' approach in this postseason practice, and they've embraced everything we've asked them to do, and I'm excited to get to see them play.
Jamon, your thoughts on Bowl week and what that experience has been like so far?
Pretty good. Had a chance to really bond with my teammates and experience the college football playoffs for the first time in my career. So it's been fun, been cool.
All right, Zion, you guys started off strong in winning the football feud last night, but then dropped the second one. How do you feel for the rest of the competitions?
I feel very confident. We really shouldn't have lost the second one, but things happen sometimes. So, but it's been very fun being around my teammates, being around those guys last night. It was good to see. It was good to see that.
All right, you feel confident? Are you guys taking home the belt at the end of the week?
Definitely.
Okay, definitely. All right. All right, let's get going. Questions for these gentlemen. All right, we'll start here in the third row on the left.
Yeah, Jed May with UGAsports.com. I guess for Glenn and Jamon, one, what allows Georgia to be so successful at that inside linebacker position year in and year out? And then Glenn, just how much have you seen Jamon and Smile really grow this year stepping into such a bigger role?
I think that anybody who comes to play linebacker at the University of Georgia accepts the responsibility of what that entails. And I think that there's a high standard for anybody who comes into that room. And I think those guys have been successful because they've held themselves to that standard. They're their own harshest critics a lot of the time, and they've remained humble despite having success. And I think that goes for everybody in that room. They've prepared the right way, and preparation is ultimately what leads to success, and those guys have done that the right way.
All right, next question, raise your hand. We'll get a microphone to you. Okay, let's go over to Cody.
I was talking to the other group, and they told me it's Bloody Tuesday. It's for the players. What does that mean, and why does that help build the culture at Georgia? What would we see if we were at practice today?
You see a lot of flying around, a very physical day from everybody, from offense to defense, even in the special teams. High tempo. It's going to be very fun.
Jamon, please explain Bloody Tuesday.
Bloody Tuesday is a day where we go after it. Just like Gio said, flying around, getting to it. A very physical day for us. Sometimes you see blood, sometimes you don't, depending on how the players go at it. But that's one of the days we get out there, play the game before the game. Tuesdays is just different in Athens.
All right, Coach.
I mean, Bloody Tuesday is just really about. There's a lot of first and second down in terms of what the plan is. So there's a lot of team run. There's a lot of good on good, and ultimately, I just made this statement in there with the print media. But when you look at it, it's what these guys put into it. So they embrace the fact that today has to be a physical day. There's got to be a lot of contact, and that they've really set the tone for what a Bloody Tuesday is.
All right, next question. Raise your hand, please. We'll get you a microphone. Where do we go next? All right, we're going to go all the way in the back left corner.
Hey, David Goldstein with the SEC Network. Coach Schumann, this is for you. With so many great defensive minds on the staff, how do you guys handle the defensive play calls in game?
Yeah, I think a lot of the decisions are made throughout the course of the week, and so there's a plan in terms of what the situation is in the game, in terms of where they are on the field, what they are doing offensively, and we make our decisions collectively about how we want to answer that. And there's a lot of conversation between drives about where do we go from there, and then we just follow that plan, the next time we're on the field. Obviously, there's some situations where decisions have to be made rapidly at that point, and there's not a lot of conversation there, but that's where you go back to your preparation and your discussions ahead of time, and you just kind of follow that blueprint. But it's done collaboratively. It's something that everybody shares a piece in terms of what part of the game plan it is, and then we just try to enact that as a staff, when it's going.
Okay, front row right here on the right.
Yeah, Pop. Brooks Austin with Dogs Daily. Just curious, at what point in your career did you think you had full retention of this defense, where you were completely confident in everything that you were calling?
I say spring. Like I said in my first interview, as long as you pay attention to your first year and not lollygag, and I came here, to do what I'm doing now, and possibly make it in a year or two. So that first year I took it seriously, paid attention to a lot of things, let N'Kobe take me under his wing and teach me certain things, and I actually listened to what he was saying, and he really just took me in and learned the defense hand to hand. And, I'm here now, and it paid off, and I give a lot of credit to him for taking me under his wing and teaching me the things he taught me.
Here's Zach.
Hey, Glenn. Zach Klein from Channel 2 here in Atlanta. When getting ready for this game and taking a look at CJ, was there one play, one game, one moment you're like, all right, he's different?
I think in general, when you have a extremely talented player like he is, it's never one play. Consistency is what makes somebody different, right? And he's consistently accurate. He has great touch. He's a good decision maker, and he trusts his playmakers around him. And so I think that all of those traits sound easy, but they're tough to have on a consistent basis. So He's consistently accurate. He consistently has good touch and decision making, and he trusts the people around him. And I think his consistency is what makes him different.
Over here, right side, Jeff.
Jeff Schultz of The Athletic. For Glenn and either player, you saw how the loss last year to Alabama sort of helped motivate you guys, and I think Coach Smart's comment was recenter you guys after the loss going into the playoffs. Do you think that's any sort of concern with Ohio State, that after losing their last game out, you might be getting their best, and does that constitute any sort of edge at all that they might have?
I think that we get everybody's best shot, and I would expect in the college football playoff that we get our opponent's best shot regardless of what's happened in their season to this point. And we're really focused on making sure that we bring our best, and regardless of who we're playing. And that's kind of how we've got to where we are, and I know that our guys are preparing to play their best, and they've been motivated internally throughout. So our guys, they're motivated. I'll let them speak, but that's what we're focused on, is our motivation, our performance.
I think I answered this question over in that room. I don't think it's a big thing. Last year, it was a wake-up call for us because we knew that it was a one-game season from that point on. So I think it was everybody stepped up on their conditioning. If they needed to hydrate better, they hydrated better. It was just the little things because we knew what we had to step up in Miami to get ready to go handle business in Indianapolis. So I think it was just that loss really woke some guys up and put things in perspective for us.
All right, next question. Who's up next? Okay, right here right on the corner.
Sarah Spencer with the AJC. My question's for Glenn. I know you mentioned CJ trusting his playmakers. What stands out to you about the weapons that he has around him, from Marvin to Emeka to all the different weapons around him?
I think it's a really well-rounded offense across the board. It's obviously certain guys get more of the accolades, but the receiver room is deep. That whether it's both guys outside, it's the playmakers in the slot. The tight end has done a really good job on vertical balls, and as a blocker, the running back room has been by committee, and it's been productive throughout. Everybody who's been in there has run the ball well, and I think when you look at that, and then you have a talented offensive line with great size, so it's a really well-rounded offense, and that makes it easy to trust the guys around you. But they each have their own skill set, but I just think it's a really well-rounded offense.
Next question. All right, back here in the front row.
Yeah, Brooks Austin, Dogs Daily again. Zion, I'm curious. You play a position here at Georgia that rotates a lot. How do you make sure, I guess, you're ready to go when your number's called or when your package is called? And conversely, Coach, how do you get guys to be ready to go right now when their number is called to get on the field?
I think we do a great job of that throughout practice. We get guys. A lot of schools really probably don't practice the way we do. We even get our walk-ons ready. So at any time in the game, you're ready to go. But just the way we rotate, we got to get guys on and off the field. Our we try to make practice harder than the game. Like we try to make game situations in practice all the time. So when the time comes in the game when we need it, we can just revert back to our training.
Coach?
I think there's an understanding in the room that if you're on the field, you're a starter, and that we view everybody that way. And if we're willing to put you in the game, or if we're willing to prepare you to play in the game, then we're willing to put you in the game. And how much you play is based on your preparation. But we don't shy away from having strength in numbers and playing our depth and staying fresh. And I think the players embrace the fact that if a D lineman makes a play, he makes a play for the whole defense, but also for his whole unit. Same in the linebacker room and in the secondary. I think there's a lot of selfless guys that appreciate their teammates, and they're willing to share some of the success with each other. And I think that element, that helps with their preparation because they know we'll put them in and play them, and then they support each other.
All All right, next question, all the way back on the left.
Yeah, it's Clay Hall, ABC6 in Columbus. For Coach Schumann, CJ talked a little bit about being recruited by Georgia last year. Do you recall, and he said, they probably finished second to Ohio State. Coach, or any of the players remember, getting acquainted with him through the recruiting process, if you guys thought Georgia had a shot?
I didn't really have any interactions with him because that would be something that Coach Monken and the offensive staff would have been recruiting him. So I don't really have a comment on that.
Next question. All right, while they're thinking about it, I'll throw one out. This is for all of you. So obviously you guys are deep into film study on Ohio State's offense. What team do they remind you of in the SEC that you guys are familiar with? What style of play do you think they're
I'd say two teams, Tennessee and LSU, just because those guys they'd run it a little bit too, but they can sit back in the pocket and let it fly around the field a little bit. I think we respect their quarterback just like we did those two teams. And college football respects their quarterbacks as well. So I think those are the two teams that I would stack them up against.
All right, Jemima, what about you?
I agree with Zion. Just the depth both of them teams had, Tennessee and LSU, compared to Ohio State. The depth in the wide receiver room, plus the great quarterbacks, not the great quarterback, but the good quarterbacks they had, the talented quarterbacks they had, arm length, vision, and the legs. And then, not showcasing their running backs, but, they have good backs too, but, not able to show them up because of the wide receiver rooms them three teams have in common.
Coach, what about you? Who do they remind you of?
I think it's fair because of the passing success, to make reference to those two teams. I also think they run the ball at a high level. I mean, they're running the ball for almost 200 yards a game, which Tennessee runs the ball well. I think some of I think there's some carryover to Florida in terms of the type of sets and run game they have as well, and some of the passing game concepts that show up there. So I think there's little pieces. I mean, guys, football is you can watch 6 different teams and see carryover from each team, but there's a little piece of what they do offensively, and everybody we've played to an extent.
All right, back here to Zach.
For the players, coach is saying Tuesday's practice, there's good on good, one versus ones, etc. Does Stetson talk trash? Is he a good trash talker, or does he just kind of make you guys laugh? Like, really, that's what you're going to go with today?
Honestly, I haven't ever got Stetson mad enough for him to talk back to me, but you definitely see it on the field. I think that showed when we played Tennessee, because that whole week he was getting phone calls. I think he got literally 800 phone calls the night before the game. So you seen him doing the celebration when he was talking about calling me. But he's definitely got some moxie in him, but it really doesn't come out a lot in practice.
Jamal?
For me, when I'm looking at Stat, it's strictly business throughout the week. We're not trash talking against them. They're not talking against us. Both sides are strictly business leading up to the game. So no, I haven't seen Stat. We don't talk trash in practice.